As the year winds to a close, we begin a look back at some of the more interesting and popular stories we reported on over the past 12 months. RIN TV coverage has taken us around the world to cover industry events, interview industry executives and thought leaders, and bring you coverage from notable analysts and governmental figures. Throughout this month, we will rewind highlights from this year's more popular reports, the stories we think warrant another look. In this edition of RIN TV Rewind, we have highlights of our coverage of the IIS Annual Seminar and the star power it drew in London.
I welcome you to the 50th Annual Seminar of the International Insurance Society. Now, for what is often thought of as the highlight of our annual seminar, we're happy to present the Global Leadership Panel.
I think we have a great panel who will give you some of their insights from their lofty purchases.
Insurance is a reflection of society as a whole. Economic and social activity generates as a byproduct exposure. And through that exposure, insurance products develop.
But there are also all sorts of opportunities out there. We've got vast underinsurance throughout the world. Lloyd has done a lot of analysis into underinsurance, and it's not just in some of these emerging markets, as we think of them, places where people aren't yet used to buying insurance and they're not insuring their homes and their belongings. But actually, even in the developed markets, we've got underinsurance going on, whether it's the US, Japan, Europe. In very, very mature markets, we have lots of underinsurance going on. So in my mind, there's all sorts of opportunities, all sorts of reasons to be on the to look positive about the insurance industry future.
You know, another thing that's happening that's equally historic is the retirement in the United States and the West, but specifically in the United States, of the wealthiest generation in the history of civilization. And the opportunities for life insurers, annuity writers, and so forth to help manage these people as they start drawing down. So lots of drama out there, no doubt about it, but lots of opportunity.
The move to start to think about disaster risk and resilience against disaster risk is something that corporations need to think about and to actually account for, and cities do as well, is very important if we are really going to understand the full economics of those activities.
Wealth creation is taking place in intangible areas, intellectual property, cyber and technology, the kinds of products that are put out and products liability, the sciences that are creating in biochemistry and in other areas are creating new exposures.
We don't run out of risk. And if we look at what we do insure indeed today, it's relatively little. And I think we really have to put the best brains together to make sure that we take a bigger share of what can be insured.
As we've seen in other financial markets, more and more elements of risk being subject to analysis and therefore being dealt with in different ways. But I still think, go out 15, 20 years or whatever it was, we will still have pockets of risk, involving new risks, risks which are very hard to model, where we will still be relying upon the judgment of experienced individuals, augmented as much as possible with modeling, but at the end of the day, subject to individual judgment.
You know, part of what is a threat right now, people view it as a threat. I think it's an opportunity. The capital markets and how they're entering the business. That gives us a chance to access, as an example, the worldwide balance sheet to spread risk rather than simply the way we do it in a buy and hold fashion. As an originator of risk, I don't worry about it. The originator of risk is on the ground, underwriting and gathering it. But the ability to package risk is a change in the marketplace, that it is not going to be simply you're going to transmit to buy and hold. You're going to transmit to buy and hold and to the capital markets both. And that will be a big change in our industry.
I was proud of our industry for a long time because how we managed the financial crisis, by and large, I think was outstanding, truly a stabilizer. And however, liquidity continued to flow into the market. And now we come at a point where I lose my pride a little bit because I see us falling into the old traps that I haven't seen us falling in for the last 10 years. So the market movement in terms of competition, pricing, growth in an area and in a part of the industry where one shouldn't be growing right now, this worries me deeply. I haven't seen it for a long time, and I thought actually with all the tools and instruments and the culture that we built over the last years, we would not do that again. I'm not so sure, actually I'm almost sure that we are right now falling into that old trap again, which I think is not only horrible for our shareholders, it's also embarrassing for us as managers.
When you come to technology and the question about technology, it's easy to say that, oh, the industry is behind and it's under threat. I'd challenge that. I can look in any area of where technology is used. It could be used for efficiency and cost. It can be used in marketing and sales. It can be used in decision making and using data to, whether it's on the risk side, to analyze cohorts or improve marketing. And I see technology being used in a cutting edge way by different companies in each of those areas in a very creative way.
You have to have someone to ask the very silly, simple questions in the end, but you have to have the right people to make the best out of what is going on in technology right now. And that's probably one of the biggest challenges we have had in the last decade, even a little bigger than the pricing war and competition that we see right now.
It's vitally important for our industry to find new talent, particularly as we go into new markets. We have to understand those markets and we need to start reflecting those markets.
As our clients look for more and more for global solutions, we need to have more and more professionals who've had true global careers, are deeply rooted in the American markets, but also understand the Asian markets, obviously understand the market here. And by the way, the interesting evolution we haven't talked about at all of what's going on in Latin America.
The industry has a reputation problem still in many countries, not the companies. And for me, that is a dichotomy where I always ask myself, what can we do as an industry to get the reputation better? Because, as I said, the narrative basically, as Lord Mayor said, under the ESG criteria, we do perform very well. So that attracts young people, and specifically the younger generation is asking all these questions. What do you stand for? What are your values? What do you fight for?
If we remain relevant, we evolve along with all of that, and the opportunities for our business are just endless in that regard.
Throughout December, we will rewind highlights of other popular reports from 2014. We hope you enjoy them and that you will keep it here for even more world risk and insurance news on RIN TV.